morning, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ and welcome to your detailed forecast update for November 23rd, 2024. We've got a lot to get through today, including a severe thunderstorm outbreak expected to plague parts of Victoria and New South Wales over the coming couple of days. We've also got a significant amount of rainfall expected across parts of New South Wales and Queensland into the later parts of next week. A lot of rainfall expected for the tropics as well, some severe thunderstorms over Western Australia and warm temperatures down in Victoria. And I also want to touch on a tropical low that could become a tropical cyclone offshore from Western Australia over the coming week. All of that plus more coming up in today's weather forecast. If you are brand new to the channel, please consider subscribing. The support lately has been much appreciated, but let's get stuck straight into things today over in New South Wales and Victoria. I just want to get these thunderstorms kind of talked about and kind of getting them over with. We do have a bit of a cold front moving throughout the course of today. You can see it here just lining up the South Australian coastline at this time. That's going to be bringing a much welcome cool change, I can imagine, because currently the four warmest weather stations, one of them is in Victoria, and get a load of this. This is just outside of Melbourne Avalon Airport, currently with temperatures of 36 degrees Celsius. Very warm down there right now. This cool change that's going to be coming through later on this evening will be very welcome, I can imagine. We've also got those exacerbated fire danger ratings throughout the course of today, but they're not as severe as what they were last week and not as severe as what they were yesterday. But just make sure you are staying on top of the State Emergency Services website if you are in a higher fire danger rating zone across Victoria. Certainly something that's worth keeping an eye on throughout the course of today. Showers and storms across the interior parts of South Australia, especially north of Port Augusta up towards Roxby Downs, and some heavy falls possible later on this afternoon from some moderate rainfall that's just expected to linger here and there. We've got those showers also expected to extend across the western half of New South Wales through Sunday, and those light showers will continue into early Monday morning before the thunderstorms take hold on Tuesday. So take a look at this. We're expecting a severe thunderstorm outbreak to take a hold across parts of South Australia, New South Wales and Victoria from Tuesday mid-morning, and that's going to be powered by a deep low pressure system located in the Great Australian Bight, bringing those showers and thunderstorms through the southeastern corner of the nation. You can see severe thunderstorms expected to be pretty widespread by Tuesday afternoon across interior parts of South Australia, especially around the Oodnadatta area, across towards Coober and down towards kind of Mount Eba, Roxby Downs, Murray and Lake Creek. We're expecting some widespread severe thunderstorms through here, pretty much all through the Lake area, Lake Eyre and Lake Torrens sort of area. Some significant thunderstorms do look to be quite possible on Tuesday afternoon and evening. Thunderstorms also extending down the dry line of this kind of low pressure system as it approaches the New South Wales Victoria border with South Australia. Thunderstorms also expected to be severe at times into the western part of Victoria, especially into the early afternoon hours before they kick up again in the Melbourne metro area by around the late evening into the kind of nighttime hours at around 8 to 9 p.m. We're expecting some severe thunderstorms here and there. Severe thunderstorms also possible outside of Albury, Shepparton and Mansfield later on into the night into early Wednesday morning. And severe thunderstorms also look to be possible throughout Tuesday through some areas of New South Wales. But if they are going to be severe in New South Wales, they will be few and far between, and definitely not as gnarly as what some of those thunderstorms will be across South Australia and Victoria. The rainfall will kick in later on Tuesday night into Wednesday morning across interior parts of New South Wales, and we're going to be seeing some substantial rainfall accumulations from Wednesday, which leads me on nicely into the next part of this forecast update, which is talking about the significant rainfall through New South Wales and Queensland. So take a look at this, especially if you live in central New South Wales. Substantial rainfall is expected to pipe itself up from Wednesday afternoon, which will turn into thunderstorms at times on Wednesday evening, with some significant falls expected around the Cobar and Dubbo area, and then extending down towards Parks, Young, West Wyalong, and even in towards Canberra as well. We could be seeing some heavy falls at times just through this general area throughout the course of Wednesday, and I do not be surprised if places picked up between 20 and 40 millimetres, and one or two locations got between 60 and 80 millimetres, especially down in the mountainous areas. Thredbo can get some pretty significant accumulations from weather systems like this, so I would not be surprised if Thredbo picked up 60 or 70 millimetres of rainfall, and a few locations adjacent to the foothills of the Blue Mountains could also pick up some substantial rainfall accumulations on Wednesday at the 9 a.m. on Thursday. Thursday as well, thunderstorms expected to be pretty hit and miss across some locations of northern New South Wales. A few thunderstorms expected around the Dubbo area on Thursday. Lightning Ridge as well could see a couple of thunderstorms, and then mainly into towards the south central parts of Queensland is where those thunderstorms are going to be, and in fact some severe ones expected outside of Charleville across towards Outer Vale and Windora, a few severe thunderstorms up there, and then further north up towards Mount Isa, some slow-moving pulse thunderstorms, which could drop some heavy falls are expected, especially towards the western part of Mount Isa and up in towards the northern part of Mount Isa. On Friday as well, that rainfall is going to be consistently kind of stagnant across the interior parts of New South Wales. A few drops expected to extend towards the south-central parts of Queensland as well, with the bulk of the rainfall tied to a low-pressure system that's going to be extending deep into Queensland, powered by a surface trough and an onshore flow from the Pacific Ocean. Ocean means that rainfall is going to be stagnant basically through Thursday afternoon, right through Friday and Saturday, and could be very heavy at times through areas around the Cobar area. So some substantial rainfall accumulations also possible on Friday and Saturday in the wake of Wednesday's rainfall accumulations. And again, I would not be surprised if places like Bourke or Cobar picked up 50 millimeters on both Friday and Saturday, and end of the week with accumulations of 100 or 120 millimeters. That is totally plausible at this time. So some very substantial rainfall accumulations are possible, but they should clear out by Sunday afternoon to kind of welcome in December and the first day of summer. Some rainfall still possible on Monday, especially along the New South Wales coastline, extending right down in towards the Victoria-New South Wales border as well in the wake of thunderstorms down there. Some rainfall also possible, but it looks like for the most part the rainfall does ease off by Sunday and Monday the 1st and 2nd of December respectively. Have a look at how much rainfall is expected though, and this is just from the East Weather forecast here, and I think it is a pretty reliable forecast as well. Accumulations maxing out at 200 millimeters between Bourke and Cobar. Yeah, 205 millimeters here. Bourke itself expecting about 150 millimeters. Cobar a slightly lower amount of 130 or 140 millimeters there, and some pretty substantial accumulations. Lightning Ridge 120, we'll get also about 120, and then down towards Coolah, Narrabri between 100 and 120 as well. Parks, which we threw up for some good accumulations possible on Wednesday, some good accumulations there by the looks of things, up towards 100 millimeters possible for Parks. Young also about 80 millimeters, Wagga Wagga about 80 millimeters, and this is 10-day rainfall accumulations. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to crack down every single place's rainfall accumulations day by day, but I would just like to talk about kind of the two phases of this rainfall event. So the rainfall piping up on Tuesday right through Wednesday. Take a look at this, some substantial accumulations expected around Wagga Wagga and then into the mountains, like I said, between 50 and 80 millimeters for some locations into the mountains, maybe a little bit more. Albury and the foothills might see 50 millimeters. Young will also see some substantial accumulations of around 35 millimeters. Wagga Wagga about 20 to 30 millimeters expected there. And then into phase 2 of this rainfall event, Friday and Saturday and into Sunday morning, where the rainfall is going to be pretty substantial across the more sort of north central parts of New South Wales. Outside of Cobar, accumulations between 100 and 150 millimeters. Same story for Bourke, between 150 to maybe even a little bit more rainfall just outside there as well. Now, of course, there are still a lot of variables at play in this rainfall forecast, and the rainfall might pan out completely differently to how the forecast is saying. I mean, between the other forecast models as well, yes, the Axis G3 is calling for similar rainfall accumulations, but it is in a completely different neck of the woods to where the Eastern Bliff is calling for it. So there is still a high degree of uncertainty, especially for the heavy rainfall on Friday and Saturday to round out November. But I would say at this time, it does look pretty set in stone that Bourke and Cobar are going to see some pretty substantial rainfall accumulations, and to exacerbate the risk that those locations have for flooding, we also have a lot of rivers right now to the south central parts of Queensland that are running at a flooding alert. Some are minor, a lot of them are actually at moderate flooding alert, and one or two are currently at the major flooding alert into the south central parts of Queensland, especially around the St. George and Thallon sort of area. Now, all of these rivers flow through, or in this general direction here, through Lightning Ridge and Bourke, and then across into the western half of New South Wales. So to top it off, in the next 10 days, when the rivers are flowing kind of at their peak around the Bourke area, and we are seeing some minor flooding, in around 7 or 8 days' time, when the rainfall does begin to pile on there, that's just going to exacerbate it. So just the heads up, if this rainfall does materialise around the Bourke and Cobar area, in the wake of the flooding that's moving through central parts of Queensland at this time, we're really going to have a bit of a flooding concern that's going to be worth talking about and worth mentioning across this part of New South Wales. So again, make sure you are staying safe if you live in a flood-prone area, and if you've got property or livestock in a flood-prone paddock or a flood-prone area, I'd recommend watching the forecast very closely over the coming couple of days, and I'll give you some advice on Monday or Tuesday as to whether or not you need to kind of act on that, especially in this sort of area here where that flooding risk is going to be quite high just because of the flooding that's currently happening in Queensland. Into the northeast of New South Wales, if the Axis G3 forecast does pan out to be correct, yes, there still will be some rainfall across interior parts of New South Wales, and quite a lot of it outside of Bourke, but the majority of the rainfall will be across into this part of New South Wales, into the northeast of the state. There's a little bit less concern there because 200 millimeters to them is not too much rainfall. That can fall in a 6-hour period there, just for comparison's sake. So again, if this rainfall forecast does turn out to be true from the Axis G3, that's probably a better case scenario at this time, but we will just wait and see. There's still so many variables out there for this forecast that need to be ironed out before I can make an accurate say on what actually is expected. That is enough for New South Wales and the southeast of the nation in general. Let's head up into the central coast and the far northern regions of Queensland. I just would like to talk about some rainfall that's expected there over the coming couple of days. In fact, over the next 10 days, you can see pretty measly rainfall accumulations in the wake of some good ones across the central coast of Queensland. They do desperately need some more rainfall down there, especially around the Rocky and Gladstone area. They need some rainfall. Southeastern Queensland also looking pretty dry over the next 10 days, especially from Monday onwards. I mean, they're not expecting anything in the way of either showers or thunderstorms, to be honest, until about Thursday. Some showers and storms expected to pipe up on Friday and Saturday, and then into the first couple of days of December as well. But in terms of a severe thunderstorm outbreak, I'm sorry, but if you're looking out for some severe thunderstorms, you're going to be disappointed into Queensland southeast. There's none on the cards until kind of the end of the first week of December, to be honest. So it does look pretty disappointing for thunderstorm lovers there. It doesn't look like anything interesting is on the cards for the next at least 2 weeks. Into the central part of Queensland, though, some good rainfall possible to round out November and into the first part of December. By good rainfall, I mean that's probably a bit of a stretch, but we could be seeing up towards 50 or 60 millimetres for some locations on Saturday, Sunday and Monday from thunderstorms expected to blow up here and there. And then into the far north of Queensland, where the far north Queensland areas of the Cassowary Coast have already been saturated over the last couple of days. I mean, South Mission Beach picking up 320 millimetres of rainfall over the past 4 days, so some substantial accumulations even for this time of the year there. The wet season well and truly underway, and a few more showers expected to add to those accumulations today and tomorrow. And I'd be surprised if Innisfail or areas around Innisfail didn't pick up a further 40 to 50 millimetres over the next kind of 48 to 60 hours, maybe even into the 72-hour period by Monday afternoon. The rainfall will ease off. Showers still lingering here and there throughout Tuesday and Wednesday, but there will be few and far between. Then those thunderstorms really pipe up across the Cape York Peninsula on Thursday and Friday and into Saturday as well, and maybe inland towards the Atherton Tablelands in the wake of the rainfall that's already happened. They've really missed out there. So hopefully some rainfall from thunderstorms on Thursday, Friday and Saturday to round out November. I wouldn't get your hopes up because once again it is from thunderstorms, but it does look pretty promising here on this forecast, especially into the first couple of days of December. It looks like the first real rainfall is going to pipe up there. This is more of a heads up. I again would not get your hopes up into this part of Queensland for some good rainfall into the Atherton Tablelands, but again there could be some good falls into the first parts of December from thunderstorms that are expected to fire up there. And you can see 10-day rainfall accumulations as well. I mean, they're not looking too shabby across some locations of far north Queensland. Now, the majority of this is Saturday, Sunday and Monday on the forecast period, but you can see outside of Atherton and Raven, so accumulations up towards 100 millimetres, and I imagine these numbers here are making some people very, very excited indeed. Cairns, unfortunately, only about 30 millimetres. It's going to be a while yet until they receive some proper rainfall. Innisfail could see some good falls over the coming couple of days, as we've mentioned. Same with Tully, another 50 millimetres possible in the next 3 days, but from thunderstorms, it doesn't look like they're going to get too much into the first days of December. But yeah, the Atherton Tablelands and then out towards Chilago and Mount Carbine as well, some good falls possible out there. So again, don't get your hopes up, but it does look like it is a pretty promising aspect on the forecast this time. And to round out our tropical forecast, before we talk about that potential tropical cyclone, I would just like to touch on parts of the Northern Territory and into Western Australia as well. We've got some very good falls expected over the next 10 days. The majority of this is actually going to be piping up from Monday. You can see across interior parts of the Northern Territory, thunderstorms just everywhere Monday afternoon. It's going to be a beautiful time to chase, especially if you are a storm chaser around kind of the Tennant Creek or Alice Springs area. Between Tennant Creek and Alice Springs, I imagine there will be some very healthy thunderstorms there into the afternoon and early evening hours, and then outside of Katherine, Jebberoo and Darwin as well, some good thunderstorms also possible there on Monday afternoon. They will continue through Monday night into early Tuesday morning as well, where they blow up again Tuesday afternoon in dramatic fashion. Plenty of rainfall expected across interior parts of the Northern Territory on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. The rainfall does temporarily ease off on Thursday, but again it fires up again on Friday, turning to rain at times up around the Darwin sort of area, and then beyond that the forecast does become a little bit murky. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and Friday, some substantial rainfall accumulations are possible across interior parts of the Northern Territory, especially around Tennant Creek, Elliot and the Corella Creek sort of area, and then extending up towards Katherine, Daly River and Darwin. The rainfall totals there are a little bit less flash and impressive, still though 150 to 180 millimetres, certainly enough water to get those creeks flowing, that's for sure. Katherine expecting about 130 to 150 millimetres, Darwin expecting at least 100 millimetres over the next 10 days. The majority of that on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and Friday, and some substantial accumulations around the Elliot area, about 100 millimetres there. Corella Creek, also about 100 millimeters. Tennant Creek, slightly disappointing at around 60 millimeters, but depending on where these thunderstorms fire up along the trough line, there will be some good rainfall accumulations there. Certainly something worth getting excited for at this time. This rainfall looks like it's going to be set in stone. Into the top end of WA, rainfall accumulations, nothing to write home about, but certainly are going to continue to add to the river totals, I imagine, up there. They're really starting to flow some of those rivers there, so some substantial rainfall accumulations will cause flooding, but we've got none of that on the forecast for the next 10 days. It's just going to be good rainfall that's going to continue to just green up things and refresh the bush up there. Very healthy rainfall forecast for the top end of Western Australia. I see no problem with it. And then showers and thunderstorms also extending across interior parts of WA over the coming couple of days as well, but again, nothing severe and nothing worth writing home about either. And if you've been playing, if you've got a keen eye, you might have noticed the kind of the rainfall swathe here over the Indian Ocean, extending around the Cocos Keeling Islands, further off towards the west from Christmas Island. That's being powered by a low pressure system that is currently wrapping itself up, and it has been over the last couple of hours. Now, this is Invest 96S. That's its official designation. It hasn't been tagged as an official tropical low or tropical cyclone yet from the Bureau of Meteorology, and I doubt it will ever be tagged as a tropical cyclone by the Bureau of Meteorology. But this does have a chance of becoming a traceable tropical low over the coming couple of days. So let's just break down the forecast for this system right now. You can see the swirling mass in the low pressure system here deepens off a little bit throughout the course of Sunday and into early Monday. You can see reaching a peak intensity of around 999 millibars here on Monday evening, and then into Tuesday morning as well. As it moves towards the west of West Island, it doesn't really wrap itself up into a tropical cyclone. It looks like it's going to battle with some high levels of wind shear and also some poor sea surface temperatures as well, which is just going to inhibit its intensification phase on Monday and Tuesday. And again, although it will likely attain gale force winds at some point on Tuesday, it won't be classified as a tropical cyclone because it needs to have 3/4 of the storm or the storm surface area covered with gale force winds. Otherwise, it won't be classifiable as a tropical cyclone, not by the Bureau of Meteorology at least. Once it heads out of the Bureau of Meteorology's official area of designation, which is towards the west of 90 degrees east, or longitude line 90 degrees east, which is about here. So by around Wednesday afternoon and evening, it will then be picked up by the Mauritius weather stations down here, and they'll continue to track it, and they don't have a gale force quadrant rule either, so they will be able to name this into the next nameable tropical cyclone, maybe Wednesday or Thursday, if it does get to that, but I doubt that it will. I think this system will go without recognition for the majority of its lifetime, but again, we will touch base with this little tropical low sometime in tomorrow's forecast update. Certainly something worth talking about. It's the first real kind of tropical low offshore from Western Australia, or in relatively close proximity to Western Australia, but it doesn't have any impact on the West Australian climate or weather at this time. So again, nothing really worth talking about. It's just an interesting aspect on the forecast this time. But anyways, it has been a long-winded forecast update once again, and it has been hell to record this. I've recorded this video once already, but I deleted the file, then I wiped my iCloud account by a complete accident. Thankfully for backups, I've managed to recover the majority of the work that I've had there, but then I deleted the original recording, put it in the trash and emptied it. You couldn't write it, to be honest, this morning, so I've went through hell and back to record this video, and that's why it's coming out in the afternoon. I probably should have opened this with a good afternoon message, but again, that's just how things go. It's certainly in Saturday mode this morning, that's for sure. Thank you so much for putting up with it though, and the times. I promise tomorrow morning's forecast update, if I can figure out how to record one with my computer, which is well and truly on its last legs, it will be earlier on in the morning. So yeah, I do thank you for your patience. It has been much appreciated, and I will catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.